Hello, it is Foundation Friday, January 17th, 2020. Steve Sipress here enjoying a spectacularly beautiful winter afternoon here in sunny southern Arizona. Temps around mid to upper 60s, nice little breeze, plenty of sunshine. Not quite hot enough to take a dip in the pool, but enjoying hanging out beside it and catching up on some reading. Part 3 of our multi-part series here on Foundation Fridays, based on J. Paul Getty's book, How to Be Rich, that was published in 1965. It was based on a series of articles that appeared actually in Playboy magazine in the early 60s, from 61 to 65. So I don't know the exact date of this writing, but it really caught my eye. It's in chapter 2 of the book called You Can Make $1 Million Today. And the advice in here that I'll be sharing in future Foundation Friday videos as well is as fresh as when it was first written. It's still true today, including this part here. If you pay attention to the news, and especially anything to do with politics, which it's tough not to with the crazy circus going on these days, led by our circus ringmaster in chief in the White House, who demands attention 24/7. This stuff is, we hear this all the time today, but man, it was old news 60 years ago. These excuses, and as J. Paul Getty says, in some American business circles, it has long been fashionable, if not downright mandatory. So already, this had long been fashionable in the early 60s, 60 years ago. It's still fashionable today. To bemoan lack of opportunity and the stifling of free enterprise capitalism. So even though Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and the other communist socialists weren't yet leading candidates for president, he goes on to say confiscatory taxation, big excuse, excessive labor costs, unfair foreign competition, creeping socialism. Those 4 excuses, I'll list them again. Confiscatory taxation, high tax. Again, Bernie and Elizabeth Warren and pretty much all the Democratic candidates are all about raising taxes and how they can give away more free stuff, which means we pay for it. So that is not news. That was already being long been fashionable to complain about when business people are not having success or going through tough times 60 years ago, or excessive labor costs. All this mandatory raising the minimum wage, which of course is destructive and stupid for everyone involved, but it happens. Well, it was, again, long been fashionable to complain about that 60 years ago. And last I checked, between the early 60s and today, there have been a heck of a lot of successful businesses that have been started and flourished, and many, many millionaires and billionaires created. So there are those of us who have gotten over these excuses for the last 60 years and the next 60 years. Another one, unfair foreign competition. It's pretty newsworthy this week with the 2 big trade deals just signed by the U.S., one with China and one with Mexico and Canada. So all this trade wars and Trump complaining about China and NAFTA and this and that and whatever. Well, it's nothing new. And creeping socialism. Well, again, you got Bernie and Mayor Pete and Liz Warren and pretty much, again, all the Democrats with all their socialist, communist BS going on. But these were excuses that failed business people or struggling business people were using 60 years ago. So how about you stop paying any attention to any of that crap? Okay, so Getty writes, and I'll just read these couple of sentences, 2 sentences, and we'll be done here. It says, these 4 excuses, confiscatory taxation, excessive labor costs, unfair foreign competition, and creeping socialism, are the, quote, causes most often cited for what the doom mongers would have us believe is the imminent disintegration of the American free enterprise system. 60 years ago, still true today. To my way of thinking, all this is sheer nonsense. The complaints are merely convenient alibis for the unimaginative, the incompetent, the nearsighted, and narrow-minded, and the lazy. Ouch. So you decide. Are you going to be among the ranks that have been around for decades, probably at least a century, of the complainers who complain about things like high taxes and high labor costs and creeping socialism and unfair foreign competition and all that kind of BS, while merely being an alibi for you being unimaginative, incompetent, nearsighted, narrow-minded, and or lazy? Ouch. True, taxes are too high and far too numerous. One of these days, and soon, our entire tax system will have to be overhauled from top to bottom. Still hasn't happened. A logical, equitable tax program will have to be devised to replace the insane hodgepodge of federal, state, county, and city levies that make life a fiscal nightmare for everyone. In the meantime, however, businessmen will just have to live with the situation. Let's be honest about it. That they can live with it is obvious enough. Income taxes, after all, are levied only on profits. They are proportionally more well-to-do businessmen in the United States than ever before. I've never heard of a single American firm that had to close its doors because of taxation alone. Then he goes on to debunk the fact that labor costs will be the sole cause of destruction of a business, and creeping socialism and unfair competition and all that BS. Getty overcomes all of that in his great book, How to Be Rich, which I highly recommend you get and you read, and this week's lesson, you stop making those excuses, stop paying attention. The Bernie Sanders and Liz Warrens and Mayor Petes of the world are always going to be around with their pitching and promoting high taxes. And even we had a president that said, read my lips, no new taxes, and even he raised taxes. So there's always going to be high taxes and high labor costs and all kinds of competition and all kinds of creeping socialism and communism infecting our lives. But the imaginative, competent, hardworking, paying attention, implementing strategies and tactics that work, that businessman or woman, that business owner is always going to be able to succeed. And I hope that's you. That'll do it for this episode of Foundation Friday based on J. Paul Getty's How to Be Rich. We will go on next Foundation Friday. I'll cover Getty's 10 rules for success in business that he discusses at the end of that chapter number 2. His 10 rules, again, still as fresh today as when they were first written nearly 60 years ago. Have a fantastic rest of your Foundation Friday. Have a great weekend. If you want some help with your business tomorrow, I'll be here. It'll be Social Media Saturday, and I'll be discussing a trend that you should capitalize on in social media for 2020 and beyond. Thanks for watching today, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Over and out. Bye-bye.